Belinda and Luke McCarthy are the power couple of harness racing in Australia. The pair are regular visitors to the winner's circle on feature days across Australia and have put the polish on some of the best paces in the country over the past decade. Horses like Mr. Feelgood, For a Reason, Slip and Slide and Fleur de Lille have all been prepared by the duo. Trots TV was given an opportunity to conduct a special sit-down interview with Belinda and Luke. This special has been broken down into 3 parts and we thank both of them for making themselves available to Trots TV. Let's meet the couple as we go inside my stable with Belinda and Luke McCarthy. I started the interview by asking Luke what he thought of the property when he first laid eyes upon it.
We actually seen it when keep driving, we would never be able to afford it. So, no, it's a beautiful spot.
Tell us about what the facilities you've got.
We've got the main track. Hazy's a half-mile racetrack style track, and it's been a successful track for a long time. Peter Walsh trained here years ago, and Dennis Wilson trained a lot of Group 1 winners from this farm, and over the years I know Shaker Maker and Holmes DG when he won his Miracle Mile stabled here. It's the main track has been a good track, and it's it was pretty easy to work out the times and all the rest of it because it was already set up, and so it's been really successful for us. And we put in another jog track. It's like a deep sand. It's just short of a half-mile. It's similar to the exact same track that we had at Dad's in Queensland, and it's been working good too. And then we put in another track that sort of goes right around the whole farm. It's probably like 1,400 metres, but it's like a straight track. It's just got one turn in it, and we generally, if you're working up there, we just clock the last 800. So there's your 3 tracks, and then we've got we've got the swimming pool, scales, treadmill, got mostly everything. Just got to have the right horses.
How big is the property?
It's 60 acres, Hazy.
Do you want to do anything more? Have you got any more plans for the place? It looks fully set up as good as you can get it.
If we win the lottery, we'll get a water walker. That's really the only other thing I'd like to put in is I do think it'd be great benefits for the horses, and they're very expensive to put in, but that'd probably be the last thing I'd like to put in.
And putting in the straight track, and obviously the sand track is something that you guys had in Queensland, but have you looked at other setups and said, "Yep, I like that. I want to use that here"? Yeah,
for sure. The jog track with the hill and the deep sand was a no-brainer because that's pretty much all we had in Queensland, and Dad figured out the exact way how to use it, for all them years, and we won multiple premierships, and I just thought it was a good idea to copy that here, and it just worked out perfect that the paddock we put it in had similar, exact same size hill and all the rest of it. And then when we put in the big track, it's pretty much exactly the same as Jimmy Tactor's. It might not be as Jimmy's is a bit longer, but it's sort of like a horseshoe shape around his whole farm. And when I was working in the States, you go and see a lot of good setups, and went and seen Tactor's farm. It's probably one of the best farms in the world, and he's got a track like that, and just sort of thought if we can afford to do it and do it now, it's going to be better for the horses.
You've got a lot of different facilities, so if one horse in particular isn't handling a certain way of training, you can change. But is there when a horse first arrives, is there a normal training technique that you put them on?
Oh, for sure. I think everybody's got a normal technique, whether it all be just go out and train them, a light mile and a half or a 2 mile trip, and get a feel for the times that what they are, and all tracks are different. I grew up going to Turnbulls, you know, since I was 10 years old, and drove track work there, and you know, you learn, like Steve's probably one of the best trainers I've ever seen, and his horses are that fit, but he's only got a 500 metre track, but you'd work them on lap times, so you know, you'd adjust your work to the lap times and you get a guide on where they are. So I don't think it really matters what your facilities are for when they first come. You just sort of figure that out as you go.
So what's a normal work for one of your horses?
We gallop a lot, Hazy, as we've always sort of done, and you know, just say for instance we might get one out and warm it up a couple of mile and just give it a gallop over 1.5 miles in 3:10 and just see where its heart rate is, and just to get a bit of a guide on where it's at. Or if it's hobbling, you know, you might hobble 3:20 and just to see where it's at. But you know, they all come in at different stages, and the last few years we've sort of developed a lot of yearlings, you know, and young horses through, so you've had them from word go, so you know, you sort of know exactly where they are the whole way along.
What about feeding? Big on feeding?
Yeah, we feed high gain. We're really happy with the product, and we've had a lot of success with it, and you know, we feed a little bit of corn and oats as well, and you know, I think feeding's tricky, you know, as long as they're getting enough but not too much, and you know, they're getting good quality. I think that's the number one thing, and you know, we're really happy with high gain.
What about the early days when you grew up in Bathurst? How much were you involved with the horses then?
Yeah, because Dad and Steve were really good mates even back to high school, you know, and then naturally Dad, when we'd start going on trot sides, always good friends with Nathan Turnbull, and me and Nathan were best mates since a young age, and we went to different primary schools, but I'd start going out to Steve and Jenny's every weekend from the time I was 10, and you know, started driving track work. And back then when we were in Bathurst, Dad always only had about 6 to 10 horses, so, and then back then Steve had 50 or 60, so you know, every weekend we'd be having half a dozen track work drives every morning, and you know, I think that experience was invaluable, just to be going around, and you know, you learn off people that are just good horse people, and you know, and you're just growing up getting to work with horses.
When the family moved to Queensland, what was the decision behind that?
Weather. Weather. Well, every year we used to go up for the winter, you know, because Turnbulls went up every year, as everyone would know, and Mum and Dad went up one year and we took all us kids up, and you know, I think we were the only kids at the beach in July. Anyway, it was just beautiful, and even Dad said, how long's this been going on? So I think it was only the next year that we looked at Dad bought the place up there.
Were you a good student?
I like school. I very much like the social side of school. But I would have made a good uni student, Hazy. But yeah. But no, I did like school, but it sort of, I was halfway through year 11 in Brisbane. I was going to high school up there, and we were sort of starting to get a bit more success with the horses. I was getting up before school of the morning and helping Dad do track work, and Dad was getting a lot of success, and we were sort of getting offered more horses all the time. And Dad said to me back then, he said, if you want to leave school, we'll go bigger and take on more horses, or you know, if you'd like to stay and get a trade or whatever, I'll just sort of keep around the 12 or 15 and go that way. So I went to school the next day and said, see you later. And then that's been the rest of it.
What would you have done if you didn't do harness racing? Any idea?
Oh, who knows?
A trade?
Probably, yeah. Probably would have got a trade, or I tried to talk myself into being a vet or something, but I don't know. Just I probably would have had to get a trade, I guess, because you know, harness racing, you sort of, unless you're highly successful, it is a hard sport to make good money in. You know, at least if you do have a trade, you've got something to fall back on.
You come from a big family, brothers and sisters. Was there a lot of competition between the kids, especially the boys, because you're all in the harness racing? Not
really, Greg. I think, see, Jodie's, I'm the oldest, and there's Jode. She's 2 years younger than me. She's a physiotherapist. She lives down at Wollongong now. And Andy was 4 years younger than me, so it was probably just that little bit of an age gap where I was more proud to see him do good, you know, than competition. Maybe if he was a year younger than me and pinching me drives, I would have been upset. But by the time he'd come along, I was already pretty established, and was just really happy to see him going well. And then Todd's 10 years younger than me, so of course, being the baby brother, really happy to see him going good.
It all happened very quickly for you. I think your first 10 drives, you drove 3 winners, 4 seconds and a third. So did it feel natural?
Yeah, I think Dad just give me the good drives, so it make me look good.
Castle Bells, was that your first winner?
Yep.
Yep, and that was the 5th of March 1999 at Redcliffe. Your first Metro meeting was on the 4th of March 2000, and then you got your first Metro winner on April Fool's Day, Tolhurst Sam. Do you remember that?
I don't, but I remember the horse well. He is a lovely horse. I remember he always used to wear a set of pull-down blinds, and he was one of them horses you could be just under pressure, even from the 600, and you get the top of the straight, and you'd pull the blinds and he'd just change gears. It's probably the one horse I ever remember had the most response to, the pull-down bridle, and but he was a good horse. He ran 5th in a QPC one year. He was well out of his depth. Our Savant lot and that were in it, but it's going back, showing me age now, hazy, but he was a good horse.
What about Hewitt, TWAF? They were good horses too in the early days?
Yeah, for sure. They both done a good job, especially TWAF. He come along pretty well once, we sort of started getting bigger, and he was a tough horse. Like, he was only tiny, but he was all heart, and he went through and run 3rd in Dominion that year behind Smooth Satin.
Make sure you catch up with part 2 of the McCarthy Inside My Stable. In the second part, Luke talks about his experiences as a young trainer and also talks about the time he spent in America as a driver.